Over the weekend, Prime Minister Modi visited the RSS headquarters, sharing the stage with RSS Mohan Bhagwat, his first such a visit to Nagpur, to the RSS headquarters since he became Prime Minister in 2014. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Let's start by wishing everybody an Eid Mubarak. This has been, of course, an Eid that not only is marked by festivities and prayers, but it has also been marked with its own version of politics. A contentious row over prayers in Uttar Pradesh, but also an outreach with lakhs of Indian Muslims through the Saugate Modi program. The BJP's Muslim outreach, such as it is, continues to be debated, its contradictions as well as its political intent. But in the meantime, the story that really caught the headlines is what happened on Sunday, when Prime Minister Modi visited the RSS headquarters in Nagpur, sharing the stage with Mohan Bhagwat and offering his tributes to Hedgewar, the man who founded the RSS, as the RSS marks 100 years in 2025. Modi's visit, his first since becoming Prime Minister in 2014, has also generated a lot of interest amid a perception of changing power dynamics within the Sangh Parivar. The perception of this change came after the Lok Sabha elections of June 2024, when the BJP slipped below majority. The BJP has still not revealed who its next president will be, and there is a sense that the RSS will have a big say in that decision. In the meantime, Narendra Modi described himself to be a Swayam Sevak. It harked back for political observers to the time when Vajpayee, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, former BJP Prime Minister, had described himself similarly such at a time when that statement caused so much controversy. Vajpayee had his own troubled relationship with the RSS. How do we decode the Prime Minister's decision to be at the RSS headquarters in Nagpur? Joining us to decode this moment as well as the claims that are being made by the opposition about this visit is veteran journalist and author Neerja Chowdhury. Welcome, Neerja, to the program. It's always a pleasure to have you with us and to learn from you. Let me start by asking you, there's a great deal of confusion over whether Modi was in fact the first sitting prime minister to visit the RSS headquarters, but some research does tell us that Vajpayee also did visit the headquarters in the year 2000. So let's start there. Is Modi the first sitting prime minister? It seems not. It seems that he's the second sitting prime minister to have made such a visit.
Yes, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee went there in August 2000 when he was prime minister. And he also went to this Smriti Mandir, Hedgewar Smriti Mandir, where Prime Minister Modi went on Sunday. The headquarters, Barkha, is the old building in the Mahal area. This Smriti Mandir is in the Resham Bagh area, in memory of Dr. Hedgewar as well as Madhav Golwalkar, who was the second Sarsang Chalak, and others who have followed. This was built in 60s sometime. Now, and Mr. Vajpayee also went to Resham Bagh. And an interesting thing that somebody was pointing out to me today is that when Mr. Vajpayee went, Mr. K. Sudarshan was the RSS Sarsang Chalak. And he had not come out to greet him there, nor had the number 2 of the RSS. Somebody more junior had gone. And at that time, if you will recall, the RSS was not very happy with the way Mr. Vajpayee was functioning, not taking their concerns on board. And Mr. Sudarshan at one stage had even talked about the need for Mr. Vajpayee and L.K. Advani to make way for younger leaders. So that is the time when Mr. Vajpayee went there. And of course, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, has also gone to Resham Bagh for the first time as Prime Minister of India. He had gone into, I remember 2013, he had gone and met with the RSS leaders at the time when he was projected as the prime ministerial candidate of the BJP for the 2014 elections.
Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about. I want to start by playing just an excerpt from the Prime Minister's speech. One headline that emerged, of course, from the speech was how Modi called himself a Swayam Sevak. He described the RSS to be like a banyan tree. But there was a lot else that was said about how he perceived the RSS to be. Now, this is a very interesting moment because the RSS has always insisted that it's a cultural organization, not a political organization. But we know quite clearly from the assembly results that have followed slipping below the majority in the Lok Sabha elections, that without the army of RSS troopers, the BJP doesn't do as well. And that has been a big message from the recent assembly elections. But first, let me just play out a little bit of what the Prime Minister had to say. Take a look.
हम देव से देश और राम से राष्ट्र के जीवन मंत्र लेकर के चले हैं, अपना कर्तव्य निभाते चलते हैं। और इसलिए हम देखते हैं, बड़ा छोटा कैसा भी काम हो, कोई भी कार्य क्षेत्र हो, सीमावर्ती गांव हो, पहाड़ी क्षेत्र हो, वन क्षेत्र हो, संघ के स्वयंसेवक निस्वार्थ भाव से कार्य करते रहते हैं। हमारे तो हृदय में बसा है, सेवा है अग्निकुंड समीजा सम हम चले, देह महासागर में सरित रूप हम मिले।
Now, Neerja, if you recall, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee called himself a Swayam Sevak, it made headlines in a way that the Prime Minister calling himself a Swayam Sevak is barely even registering as a key political headline. That is because the RSS enjoyed a veto power over the Vajpayee government. If you remember, they vetoed Jaswant Singh getting a certain ministry. Vajpayee had a very vexed relationship with the RSS. How do you see the Prime Minister's relationship in the light of two developments? One, the Lok Sabha election of June and the BJP slipping below majority. Before that, JP Nadda trying to say that the BJP could manage without the RSS. The assembly election results reminding the BJP that it cannot do without the RSS. How did you see the Prime Minister's self-description as a Swayam Sevak?
You know, actually, you can compare Mr. Vajpayee's relationship. Remember, Mr. Vajpayee was seen as a moderate. And it is true that the RSS, when he took over as Prime Minister, undid a major decision of who would be his finance minister. He wanted Jaswant Singh. He had to finally accept Yashwant Sinha. And this happened within, even before he was sworn in, with Mr. Sudarshan going and having dinner with him the previous night. But Mr. Modi's relationship with the RSS, even though he's been a Swayam Sevak, he's been a pracharak to the Prime Minister, has been also, I would say, problematic in the last months and maybe a year or so. And as you said, this came to the fore when Mr. Nadda made an open announcement, public announcement, saying that the BJP was now large enough, strong enough not to need any hand-holding by the RSS, which upset the RSS greatly. And we all know it's an open secret that the RSS did not put its best foot forward to campaign for the BJP in the 2024 election, and one of the reasons why it was down to 240 seats. Now, subsequently, of course, things were different. But given this relationship, the RSS has wanted a greater say. The RSS has also been unhappy with the style of functioning of the government, and they feel that it should be a collective that makes decisions, not individuals, and that also that their views should be taken on board, particularly on organizational matters. However, after the election, there have been many parleys between the two sides. And the result was that the RSS came out very proactively and worked for the BJP candidates in the Haryana elections, Maharashtra particularly, and then, of course, in the Delhi elections, where there were large numbers of meetings, small group meetings that they held. And we know what the results have been. So the RSS has proved to the BJP leadership, if we put our best foot forward, you do well. If we don't, we hold back, then the party can lose ground. And I think that message has gone across to the BJP. So the Prime Minister's visit, I think, to Nagpur. It is not that he went to make peace. He had made peace and then went to Nagpur. So
That is
what
a
we
very
saw.
that's a very important distinction. You believe that notwithstanding the problems, this visit was possible because Modi has made peace with the RSS.
That's right. And that has been happening over the last months. I think there is a realization that both sides need each other and will have to accept each other and will have to take each other's concerns on board. And I think we will probably see in the coming days the announcement of the party president. This has not happened because we hear the RSS sent the BJP lists, which were not acceptable. The BJP sent RSS the lists of people who could be next party president after Mr. Nadda, whose term has come to an end, but he's continuing. By the way, incidentally, Mr. Nadda has to date not denied or taken back his words that the BJP did not need any handholding by the RSS. But that apart, so I think the fact that the Prime Minister went there is signal enough. In itself, very
What is the
important
signal?
event.
What is the signal, though? One signal is of the rapprochement, that there is a reconciliation, that they're back on an even keel. But what is the other signal in terms of, as you said, the RSS would have wanted a more collective style of functioning. The RSS has always been against the cult of a single leader politics. In fact, if you read a very interesting new book on Hedgewar by Sachin Nanda, one of the points he makes is that Hedgewar did not agree with the Indian National Congress. He fell out with the Indian National Congress because he thought it was too dominated by Nehru, and then he thought it was too dominated by Gandhi. So the RSS has never agreed with a one-person centric kind of politics. That has been one of its differences with the Modi Shah BJP. But let's argue this for a moment from the perspective of Modi Shah. The Narendra Modi Amit Shah combo is perhaps the best bet for the RSS. No other political leader has delivered on as many agendas of the RSS as the Modi government has. So, what is the basis for the RSS to express any discontent?
Do say in private
Just
that as far as their agenda, is concerned, yes, the Modi government has fulfilled it as the previous Prime Minister, Mr. Vajpayee, could not or did not. And therefore, I think it's more to do with it's also what they are going to do now. If you notice, this is the 100th year of the RSS. It's completed 100 years. But you and I have not seen any celebrations around, which we were expecting that we will see. And I think now, probably from October onwards, we will see so-called celebrations, not in the usual sense, but we will probably see a huge thousands of functions from October this year to probably September next year of expansion of the ideological message of the RSS. And the RSS would like now to acquire greater credibility, greater legitimacy amongst sections that have held it at an arm's length. And this they will reach out, I suspect, to the intelligentsia, to the corporates, to the academia, to people like that also. And I think the Prime Minister, in the poetic way that he's spoken, he gave effusive praise to the RSS. And of course, to Dr. Hedgewar, Param Pujnya, Shat Shat Pranam, and also, the Akshavat, the sacred tree, the sacred banyan tree that he compared RSS to. And, a national consciousness that it had created, national culture. So the 1,000-year civilizational project that they have often talked about, I think they are going to embark. Of course, the Prime Minister has talked about 2047, that we have to now Viksit Bharat, health, education, and so on, aspirations of young Indians. And of course, Baba Saheb Ambedkar's Diksha Bhumi, that he also went to and made a commitment that we will fulfill the dreams of Baba Saheb. So I think those are the lines on which they will be working. And I suspect that they will want to, and he hinted at this, you see, the Congress ideology permeated was the dominant ideologies for decades. I think they will now want to bury that and bring about this as the dominant ideology accepted by the people of India, and as he says, across generations. So it's a very ambitious kind of what is the word, agenda that they are trying to roll out. It's
Neerja,
not only a party president.
Yeah, I'll come to the party presidents separately. But when you say the RSS, you imagine in its 100th year will seek greater outreach, greater legitimacy. What more legitimacy and power could it seek for itself? Everybody from former presidents, Pranab Mukherjee, caused such a stir in his own former party, have visited the RSS headquarters. Ratan Tata has visited. Who has not bestowed upon the RSS the legitimacy in the last 15 years that you think specifically it would still be seeking?
I think, there are large sections, Barkha, in the country that are have reservations about the RSS and what it is about. And so those are the sections, as I said, intelligentsia, academia, corporate world, the money, the wealthy, the people who influence public opinion. I suspect they will want to reach out to those sections that have not accepted them and do it in a very determined way. And the RSS is known for these small group meetings all over the place. I mean, they work very, very hard. And I suspect in this 100th year, which will start from October, I believe, they will put a plan in place. And somewhere, if they have accepted that Narendra Modi is going to be the leader, there's no question of removing him. He may well be there to 2029 also. And it's a succession that they will look at later. They will, of course, look at Uttar Pradesh in 2027. What happens there is going to be very critical also. What happens to Yogi Adityanath, and so on. All those things will be looked at. But where does this leave? When you think of this, the grandiose plans and the reconciliation, the differences getting sorted out, you wonder, where does this leave the opposition in a democracy like us?
Yeah. So what you're actually
story.
No, it's not a separate story because Sanjay Raut of the Shiv Sena UBT had his own take on Modi's visit. Sanjay Raut, of course, is known for being provocative. So we'll add fistfuls of salt to what Sanjay Raut has said. It's a clearly political comment. But Mr. Raut said that Modi, Prime Minister Modi, went to the RSS headquarters because he's discussing who after Modi. This is Raut's claim. I'm just going to play that statement out. Let's take a look.
सितंबर में रिटायरमेंट का एप्लीकेशन लिखने के लिए शायद वो आरएसएस मुख्यालय गए। मेरी जो जानकारी है, 10-11 साल में कभी मोदी जी गए नहीं। मोदी जी गए हैं, वो बताने के गए हैं मोहन भागवत जी से कि टाटा बाय बाय, मैं जा रहा हूँ।
So that's Sanjay Raut, in a way, kind of daring Modi to deny that he's not going anywhere, saying that, oh, you know what, he went to actually say Tata bye-bye, he's getting ready for his retirement. Now, the reason that this is even a point that someone like Sanjay Raut can make is because of the number of 75, right? And there has been some speculation that what if Mohan Bhagwat steps aside when Mohan Bhagwat turns 75? Will there be pressure on the Prime Minister? But I think this is all khali pulao by the opposition. I don't think Modi is going anywhere at all. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree with you, Barkha. I don't think Modi is going anywhere, and senior BJP leaders have said rules can always be changed, rules that were made. I think that is a given. Also, that he may be around if the party wins again in 2029. And so it is a succession part that, of course, the RSS starts to think, what in the next 50 years. So they would think of the post-Modi era, definitely, and they would have people up their sleeves who they would groomed for that national role. And you hear of all kinds of names in that.
So talking about that, of course, being Maharashtra leaders, we saw both Nitin Gadkari and Devendra Fadnavis at that event. And Mr. Fadnavis is a great favorite of the RSS, but we're unclear about his relationship with Delhi. Nitin Gadkari, we know, doesn't have the best relationship with the BJP's current leadership. He's in fact there not just because of his reputation as a doer minister, but because the RSS loves him. Now, when you look at this and you think of the succession plan and you think the RSS might be thinking after Modi who there should be somebody, a lot of people talk about Yogi Adityanath, but Yogi Adityanath has also never classically been an RSS favorite. So how do you think the RSS might be thinking of this?
Well, you see, we don't know, Barkha, the answer to that. You and I are guessing on from different pieces of bits and pieces of information that we get. Yes, certainly Yogi Adityanath has a following which is independent of the BJP, independent of the RSS, independent, his own following. And I was struck when that Devendra Fadnavis' swearing in Bombay, when they introduced the lineup of leaders who were present on the dais. When they introduced Yogi Adityanath, there was a huge applause for him. So even in faraway Maharashtra, he is gaining ground and gaining popularity. But this is also something that worries a section of the RSS. Will he submit to the discipline of the Sangh and the BJP, or will he take off in another direction? Even though he may move the agenda further rightwards. And that may be acceptable, that may be desirable for some people in the RSS, though they would worry about, from the Mohan Bhagwat's recent statements, they would worry that it should not get too divisive, like the statement he made, you cannot go looking for mandirs under every masjid. So there has been that side of Mohan Bhagwat also. But so Yogi, yes, he's a post-Modi, he is a factor. Devendra Fadnavis is a factor. It's very interesting. Devendra Fadnavis, Mr. Modi, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, and on this side you had Devendra Fadnavis, and then you had Mr. Gadkari. And when the Prime Minister spoke also in his speech, he referred to Devendra Fadnavis as Lokpriya Mukhyamantri Maharashtra ke. So that was a very interesting adjective he used for Devendra Fadnavis. So RSS is also going to watch how that term pans out of Mr. Fadnavis. It has run into many bumps, but they take a long-term view. And then, of course, there's Shivraj Chauhan. In a different set of circumstances, could somebody like Shivraj Chauhan step into the breach, if at all that breach was created? And finally, there is Mr. Amit Shah. And Amit Shah is already, he's number 2, is already running the system and the country in many ways, alongside Mr. Narendra Modi. So there are Hemanta Biswa Sarma. He's also turned very Hindu word. And there was a time, not recently, but say a year ago, there were some people in the RSS who used to say this, watch out also for Hemanta Biswa Sarma and how he shapes up. So they certainly have the...
So in a way, you're saying there are multiple options for a post-Modi BJP, but you're also saying we're nowhere close. Like for example, in the June Lok Sabha, after the June Lok Sabha elections, there was some sense that the BJP would need to answer that question more urgently after Modi who. But after the string of assembly wins and the reconciliation, as you mentioned, between RSS and the BJP, you're saying the Sangh is again a very, very formidable, consolidated, cohesive unit. It's bad news or more challenging for the already weakened opposition. And you believe, not just is Modi not going anywhere in this term, you believe he could run again in 2029 for the post of Prime Minister.
Don't rule that out at all in the way things are going. And the Sangh, even though it may be the Sangh leadership, even though they maybe have reservations, unhappiness about the way the government is being run, even as it fulfills their agenda, will do nothing, as I was told by somebody, that will go to strengthen Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party. So they put their best foot forward in the state elections, and the party did very well as a result.
So let's talk about the immediate next decision. Who will be BJP party president? Like with everything else that the BJP does, nobody can guess this. Whatever seems the logical, for example, if you look at the Delhi elections and everybody thought it's going to be Parvesh Verma, Sahib Singh Verma's son. He was the giant killer of this election. That didn't happen. When people spoke about a woman chief minister, people thought, oh, Smriti Irani might be brought back. No, Smriti Irani was not back, and we have Rekha ji as Delhi chief minister. Now, my question to you is, when you think of who might be the next BJP party president. One thing you're saying is that the RSS will have a say in it, right? What do you think will be the factors?
I think for the RSS, it is somebody who devotes complete attention to the organization. To them, building the organization is very important. And therefore, they will want somebody who fits that bill. Now, but it has to be that somebody has to be acceptable to the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, and the top two. And therefore, have they zeroed in on somebody? I feel they have zeroed in. The fact that the Prime Minister was in Nagpur, this difficult bit that they have not been able to come to a decision on, I somehow have a feeling they may have sorted this out. There is buzz, there's a speculation that there may be a meeting of senior party leaders of the BJP very soon. That there's a date given, maybe 10th of April, and you will have the people looking after the organization, senior party leaders, chief ministers, maybe deputy chief ministers, come to Delhi and meet. Now, would that be an occasion where, even though the name has been decided, if that name is tested, with this larger group of people, and it is shown that it is emerging out of an attempt to create a consensus? I don't know, but my sense is that the decision has already been made, and it'll be somebody acceptable both to the RSS and to the top two in the party. But it also has to be somebody who has some heft. There were other kinds of names doing the rounds. ML Khattar's name we keep hearing about. Now lately we hear about, if there's a complete impasse, will it be Rajnath Singh? Earlier there was Rajnath Singh, then he went out of the picture. But Barkha, the bottom line is there's no point speculating.
Because we don't know. We simply have no idea. We simply have no idea. Now, I want to ask you, what for you is the big takeaway from this meeting? I think what you're saying is the big takeaway is they're on the same side. The tensions are a thing of the past.
Yes. And I think the RSS will be on the high table as far as decision making in the BJP is concerned. That is the big takeaway. And RSS will back the BJP much more fully than maybe there was an interim period when it held back. It reined itself in. So that is the big takeaway. And they are going to look at their strategy, their programming, their narrative, their agenda, how they put that forward. That is something they will give concrete attention to and evolve that plan. So yes, they are going to be moving in step, and they have accepted that they need each other.
Yeah. So in terms of the agenda, what might that mean for policy? Because see, the BJP, for any big changes that need constitutional amendments, still has a parliamentary obstacle unless the UP elections go in a certain way that the Rajya Sabha numbers change completely, right? What is left in terms of RSS agenda? The big one is Uniform Civil Code. What else leaps out to you that the RSS might say in 100th year, we would be looking out for this?
I think in terms of programming, for instance, the Waqf bill, that may be kicked down the road till after Bihar elections, because there's huge agitation that has been generated. You don't sense it sitting in Delhi, but in the out in the states at the ground level, yes, there's a lot of agitation amongst the Muslims. And the BJP may not get the votes of the Muslims, but the Janata Dal U does get the votes of the Muslims. Nitish Kumar has a following, Pasmanda Muslims, other sections of Muslims, and the NDA will not want to jeopardize. That is my sense. So will they move the bill in Parliament, or will they defer it till after the Bihar elections are over? So things like that. Also, this outreach to the Muslims, Barkha.
I wanted to talk about that because something very interesting has happened in the last week that has again led to some speculation that there is a difference between Modi and Yogi and how they're approaching this issue. So on the one hand, you have the Sogate Modi Eid kit. This is not something that the BJP typically does. You've also seen a kind of low-key return, I don't know if you've noticed it, of iftar parties. right? You have seen, somewhat of a kind of return or a mainstreaming of iftar parties. You're seeing this outreach with the Sogate Modi kits, but at the same time, you had different police forces in districts of Uttar Pradesh make very, very strong statements about namaz on the streets. And, this could lead to criminal cases. This could even lead to your passports being cancelled if you have a criminal case. How did you see what appeared to be a seeming contradiction?
I think I'll tell you something that some people said before the third term of Modi. They said if he comes back to power, you will find Narendra Modi more inclusive. Now, I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, that he may reach out to the Muslims in a new way. Something that somebody again from within the RSS family had said to me in 2015, soon after Narendra Modi had come to power. He said that the challenge to Narendra Modi will come not from the left and the liberals. The challenge to him will come from the extreme right. And that the voices of the extreme right, whether it's the Sambal, whether it's, does Yogi Adityanath symbolize that extreme right under which a lot of these smaller groups will band together? Question mark. So I think it's much more of what is happening within the larger Sangh family that is of interest. And reaching out to the Muslims, or Yogi Adityanath taking a very harder stance in Uttar Pradesh. For obvious reasons, he's got to win the 2027 elections, and he feels polarizing the situation further will yield him dividends. And if he wins for the third time, that it's going to be very difficult to stop him. He will be unstoppable then. So I think there are tussles within the RSS and the BJP that we need to watch much more carefully.
But finally, let's talk about the allies. You see, you spoke about the Waqf bill being postponed till at least after the Bihar elections. Bihar is a state with a sizable Muslim population. There has been some attempt by the southern states to rope in Chandrababu Naidu on the issue of delimitation. And then you've had two ministers in the last week, Neerja Chowdhury and Chirag Paswan, express their disagreement with the kind of discourse around namaz, Eid namaz, in Uttar Pradesh, right? Both of them, in fact, Neerja Chowdhury said this is Orwellian. Chirag Paswan said, I don't agree with this kind of politics, right? So you're seeing the first sign. On the one hand, you're seeing the Sangh being very powerful, as Modi and the RSS are now firmly on the same side, as much as we can tell. On the other hand, you are seeing the allies beginning to somewhat assert themselves. Is that fair, or do you think it's a very mild assertion?
No, I think they are certainly. This is the first time they've spoken so publicly and openly about this. Yeah. One expected them to speak earlier or make their views known. But again, I would say, are they standing alongside the Prime Minister and the Home Minister against the more rightward shift that's taking place, or the push for a rightward shift? Again, is this the lineup that's taking place within the larger NDA family? All this remains to be seen how things pan out, Barkha, in the coming weeks.
Yeah. The one important thing to say in the end, Neerja, is that there's only one election next year, Bihar, right? And then the big one is Uttar Pradesh, but that's still some time away. So the question is that actually for about a year, the Modi government will not be distracted by the challenges of winning elections. And it will have to, or it can have time to refashion itself, or Modi will have time to refashion his legacy in the way that he seeks. But he's not going anywhere. This is not sort of the end of, or the beginning of the end of Modi, right? What looked like a containment of Modi in June 2024 doesn't look like a containment of Modi in March 2025. Where does this leave the opposition, and what would you be looking out for politically in the next few months or weeks?
I think next year could be a year of the opposition, because you have Kerala, where the Congress has very good chance. You have Tamil Nadu, where the DMK could, provided how it plays its cards, it's early days yet, but it could, if it played its cards well, could it come back? Then you have West Bengal. Will Mamata Banerjee come back there? She will certainly fight.
That's
to come
next
back
year.
There.
Sorry, I made a mistake. Bihar is the only one now, right?
This
And
year.
then there's
The
next
Bihar
year.
is the only
Correct.
one
Yes,
this year,
yes,
and between
yes.
now and Bihar year and
Yes.
winter. But
Correct.
the next year could turn the mood in favor of the opposition, provided it plays its cards well. But this year, yes, it's only Bihar and Mr. Donald Trump in between. Economic policy, foreign policy, that is going to shape the domestic politics also, and the responses that the
So
government
you
gives.
you
And it's
you
going
you
to be
believe the
very
tariffs?
challenging.
You believe the
It's
tariffs
going to
and
be
its
very
impact on the
challenging, yes.
economy will have its own impact on the politics here.
Absolutely, domestically, and how they handle it.
So, in conclusion, was there anything about the Modi visit to the RSS headquarters that surprised you or left out for you?
No, the moment it was announced, I think the deal was done. It was very clear. The fact of Narendra Modi going, forget what was discussed there, and it was Mohan Bhagwat, and if you looked at the body language, it was very easy. It was there was no tension that you could see. So the fact of him going showed you that they had come to an understanding, irrespective of what they talked or did not talk there.
Well, I do think your next book on prime ministers now has to be on Prime Minister Modi, Neerja. When is that coming?
Let's see, Barkha.
Thank you, Neerja. Always a pleasure. Thank you and take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.